Yesterday was the regular monthly meeting of Third Laguna Hills Mutual. President Mike Straziuso joins us today to talk with us a bit about what was the final meeting for calendar year 2012. And of course, our boards change in the fall, so the folks we saw, the players yesterday, will be the players on into the new year till this next fall.
Absolutely, and we have just a magnificent board this year. We have three new members, actually four, because of the resignation of Dr. John Paulus, Hank Joya, but first-time members, Jim Juhan, the current mayor's husband.
Right, there you go.
Soon to be the ex-mayor's husband.
Right.
And Mark Baer, and Mark is president of the men's golf club, and little Judith Troutman, and she is just a dynamic lady who brings so much to the board.
And yesterday she wore her Santa hat.
She did.
That was kind of keeping with the season, I guess, there. Well, one of the things your board is doing is making sure everybody has plenty of work to keep them busy so nobody can loaf. Your committee appointments and all of that, and you're also looking at that sort of transitional time which will take place next fall when the elections take place. We sometimes have kind of a changing of the guard, so to speak, and sometimes people aren't really sure which committee they're on. Are they on last year's committees or next year's committees? You addressed that a little bit?
We did. We've always survived it, but without a resolution to back it up. And the housekeeping resolution, which gives the board president the authority to make those appointments in that transition period. But an interesting situation developed. I was recently accused by is the term sexist? When men accuse women, all women of, or women accuse, and this ex-board member said, men resist change. Well, yesterday I introduced a motion to not read this boring resolution on TV.
Right.
The discussion was incredible. Two of our ladies said, tradition has been that we read these resolutions in spite of them being routine and
and sometimes somewhat lengthy.
And this one was a full page to give that authority to the president.
Right.
We passed the resolution. The next resolution had to do with GRF committees. Peace. Read the resolution.
Yeah. Well, sometimes change is hard to push through.
It certainly is.
Something that the boards are all learning a lot about right now is something that some of the residents may not be aware of, and that's the Golden Rain Trust. Recently, a special meeting was held to kind of bring you folks up to speed on that, and you're looking to maybe have more input from a board level into that discussion on the trust.
Yes, a committee is being formed, and two members from each of the corporations will work on it. And as our attorney pointed out, this may be a process that could take 6 months, 9 months. Hopefully we'll have it complete by the election time in 2013. The differences between the trust and the bylaws have existed for years, and we've survived in spite of, well, one of the members of our community has frequently pointed out that there are differences. And we've survived, and now we want to get formal and make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Right. One of the challenges your board faces right now is in the M&C area, lots of extra repair work that maybe hadn't been planned for, but like good, prudent people that you are, you have money in the bank, so to speak, reserves and funds set aside to take care of emergencies, and you're able to meet these needs, albeit sometimes those numbers with lots of zeros after them, everybody gulps when they read them, but sometimes you need to do that to keep this community moving right along and well maintained.
Yes, that's why we have reserves. And our biggest surprise, although it shouldn't have been, the paint program in Third Mutual is a 10-year cycle. And during this last cycle, we have found a goodly amount, an enormous amount of dry rot in our beams that are exposed, in particular in the 81 three-story buildings. So it is a multi-million-dollar task to replace those. I live in one of those three-story buildings, and our beams were replaced early this year. I think it was January or February. 18 cross beams in a three-story with a breezeway down the center. It took them almost 2 months to complete the job.
Wow.
And we were one of the first buildings, and they were carrying the beams up the stairs. And I noticed about 3 months later, they were using power equipment to raise the beams and not carry them on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But that has been a major expense, and
Yeah.
we have the money in reserves, and it's worked out very well.
We're running out of time for this segment, but one thing that we learned about on Monday when we had Isabel Munichow on, you're actually working in conjunction with United over in cul-de-sac 206, which is going through some rehab right now. The pavers going in the case of United, trying some new paint colors. So you're sort of sharing the experimentation, so to speak, with that new, possibly new look that they're going to be putting in over there.
Yes, you're right. They have 3 corners. We only have one. We have Third Mutual. We have pavers sitting at the manufacturer's warehouse area, and the pavers are already paid for. There are 2 elements, the pro and the con. On the board, you probably have never heard that before.
Yes.
That want pavers everywhere,
Right.
and those who say, no, the expense is not worth it.
Right. So in all things, moderation.
Thank you. I'll have to use that.
You're allowed to quote me, who quoted a more famous book that said that long ago. Good holiday season to you and your board. We thank you for coming by today, and you'll be back in January with more of what's happening in
But
Third.
you won't be here.
That is correct, sir.
And enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Do all those things you've...
And this sounds funny, but I'm actually going to start attending Irvine City Council members, which is where I live, and find out how they run their show.
Be careful.
It'll be interesting, yeah. Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can catch a replay of that meeting tomorrow here on Channel 6, starting at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. And if you're busy tomorrow, next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, final replay of the December meeting of 3rd Laguna Hills Mutual. We'll come right back with more guests and more news right after this.